Starmer, Sturgeon, Bercow, they must all be in floods of tears right now because Michel Barnier has got the boot. Yes, he is the shortest serving French Prime Minister in living memory. And this is the man, by the way, that all of our political class absolutely loved as he attempts to rail the United Kingdom. Well, I've got some respect for France. They didn't put up with it in the way that our political class has put up with it. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thanks so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe, but more importantly, hit the bell notification icon because it's the best way to absolutely guarantee you get all of my videos as soon as they are released. Sacre bleu, ooh la la, horrendous. Okay, so Michel Barnier was appointed on the 5th of September this year. He was supposed to be brought in to deal with austerity, exactly the same problem that the United Kingdom had. And the problem was that we're willing to spend as the government, but we're not willing to ever make any cutbacks. He was proposing massive increases in tax on things like electricity. I think it's something like 40 billion in tax rises, just unbelievable. It's 40 billion in spending cuts and 20 billion in tax increases, which clearly isn't going to do anything at all. But you know, our Uncle Barnier, he did exactly to the French what he did to the British. When he felt he didn't have an opportunity to win, he pushed through the budget without parliamentary approval. Yes, that's absolutely right. He decided that because he wouldn't pass the budget at the French Parliament, he would instead decide to completely ignore the Parliament altogether. He used an article called 49.3. Basically, it allows him to push through the budget without the approval of Parliament. Well, of course, Marine Le Pen wasn't willing to wear that, and now they have triggered a major backlash which ended in a no confidence motion tonight, which was passed. Absolutely brilliant news. But look, this channel isn't about French politics. It's about British politics. And let's just remind ourselves about what happened with Michel Barnier. Michel Barnier was the lead negotiator over Brexit. He was somebody who wanted us to do, you know, the sort of deal that you might do if you're a defeated nation. So let me just tell you what Barnier proposed. That we lose Northern Ireland, Britain loses all of its territorial waters, Britain pays reparations in perpetuity to the EU, but that we allow EU nationals to have greater levels of rights in the United Kingdom. And those rights are that EU nationals living in the UK would be subject to EU law, even though they were in the United Kingdom, specifically on areas like immigration. And the court that would arbitrate on these citizens would be the European Court of Justice. Also, that in cases where the UK Supreme Court disagreed with the European Court of Justice on any issue relating to any EU national, the British court would have its law struck down. Next, they wanted a ban on all or large amounts of exports to the European Union, things like foodstuffs. You're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe something that Barnier put in. Barnier put in a rule that bans you from taking a dog from Scotland, England or Wales to Northern Ireland on the grounds that it may have rabies. The United Kingdom has not had rabies since about 1850, whereas the continent is absolutely full of it. Barnier's suggestion was, in order to protect Northern Ireland from rabies, that the EU should join the European Veterinary Service. Time and time again, Barnier wanted Britain to be like a defeated nation. You know, all we did was join the club and then decided to leave a club. When I joined the Scouts, or the Cubs, you know what, I paid my subs in, and that paid for the Scout hut and whatever. When I decided to leave, I stopped paying my subs and left. Didn't ask me to hack off a leg and continue to pay my subs until I was 35. That is completely ludicrous. But here was the interesting point. You look at people like Starmer, you look at people like John Bercow. These people assisted with Michel Barnier because whatever you say about Theresa May, and I can't say a great deal about her, that election was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. By the way, I had an argument with Nick Timothy, her chief of staff, in the green room of News UK. He was very upset when I said that he was the biggest disaster that had ever happened to that woman and she was the biggest disaster that had ever happened to the country. But On a serious note about Theresa May, you know, she went in trying to do the right thing. She got it completely wrong and she misunderstood things. But I'll tell you something. She was negotiating in good faith. What were Bercow and Starmer and Barnier doing? Plotting behind the back of Theresa May in the United Kingdom. If you were an American and you attempted to negotiate behind the back of the American government in the way that Starmer and Bercow did with Barnier, it would be a criminal offence and they would lock you up. We need to bring that law in Britain, by the way. So every time Theresa May tried to put a decent Brexit deal on the table, well, it wasn't decent Brexit deal. Every time she tried to put something on the table that wasn't punitive, Bercow and Starmer went to Barnier and attempted to divert and destroy what the British government were attempting to do. And what were they saying to Barnier? Give Britain the worst deal possible, because then we'll be forced to rejoin the EU. What sort of a Speaker of the House of Commons is that, scumbag? What sort of a leader of the opposition was that, scumbag? And now a British Prime Minister. By the way, just saying the other day that we can be both supportive of America and the EU. Yeah, you know what that is? That's a prelude to him sucking up to Michel Barnier again, whilst denying us the UK-US trade deal, which would make billions for the United Kingdom. He's never going to allow us to do a decent trade deal with the United States of America. So all I can say to Michel Barnier is goodbye, good riddance. I genuinely hope that you are flushed down the swill hole of political history and never remembered again, because what you did in collusion with Bercow and Starmer was hugely damaging to the United Kingdom. But I applaud the French. You know, people talk about this cheese-eating surrender monkey and all this sort of stuff. You know what? They wouldn't wear it, right? Their Prime Minister and their whoever, leader of the opposition, and their Speaker want to hose them. They throw them out. We should have done that, you know. Now, I know not many Prime Ministers lasted a great deal of time during Brexit, but that Speaker of that Parliament, John Bercow, was negotiating behind the back of you, of May, and of this country. So we rewarded Starmer with a big win. But I'll tell you something, between you and me, we got the last laugh on Starmer, because now he has to live with the wife. Oh, did I say that? Oh, I'm sure they're very, very happy together. And she didn't demand £100,000 worth of clothes just in order to move back in with him. Oh, terrible. What I want to say is I'm making a complete joke there. None of that is true. But thank you so much for watching this. And I want to just say goodbye to Michelle. You won't be missed. And now Emmanuel Macron is going to run the government directly as president. And I'm going to tell you something about Emmanuel Macron. No, I'm not. But let me tell you this, he's not that keen on the wife either. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. Please do subscribe and hit the bell notification icon. It's the best way to absolutely guarantee you get all my videos as soon as they are released. Goodbye.